Okay, so along the theme of surprises, my mother and father packed us in the car when I was about 5 or 6 years old, and we all drove to the airport to say goodbye to my dad. He was going on a typical business trip. And it was back in the day when you could go up to the gates and hang out like normal people. And and typical youngest, I was the youngest, only girl, asked my snotty question, will you bring me back something nice? And he's like, well, I already got you guys a present. And he goes into his briefcase and pulls out 2 Mickey Mouse hats and a Minnie Mouse hat. And he said, we're going to Disney World. So it was amazing, and I had been bugging, always wanting to go to Disney World. And so I'm freaking out. We're all freaking out. My parents had somehow snuck our suitcases in, got our tickets, everything. I don't know how they did it. But we get to Disney World, and I remember walking down the streets of Disney World just like bright-eyed, and just I couldn't believe I was there. And I remember thinking, like, is this real? Like, could something like this really happen to me? And it was a very memorable trip. So flash forward a few years, I was now 10 years old. And my parents were out, and my oldest brother was babysitting, so I went for a walk with the dog around the cul-de-sac, and my brother took my mom's really nice bike for a spin because she wasn't around. And this older gentleman he came out of my neighbor's house, so I figured he was a friend. And I was a very friendly child, and he starts talking to me about my dog. I remember distinctly he had coffee-stained teeth, like the nastiest coffee-stained teeth. And he was wearing this faded yellow polo. But I talked to everybody, and so I kept talking to him. And somehow he started telling me that he owns this t-shirt company and the labels on the inside of the shirt, and decided to look. And kept trying to get me closer to his house and in the house. Luckily, my brother, riding around, saw what was happening, came over and was like, Randy, we got to go. And the guy's like, why don't you take that bike for another spin? And he's like, this is my mom's bike. I probably shouldn't. Why don't you just around the block? He's like, we really have to go. And he took me back to the house, and he said, Randy, who's that guy? And I said, I have no idea. But he's nice. And he's like, no, he wasn't nice. And educated me on what older guys do to younger girls. And it freaked me out. It surprised me. It shocked me. I didn't know that kind of thing happened. And he ended up calling the police. My parents came home, and nothing ever happened to the guy because, of course, he denied it and didn't really do anything. But I remember thinking, is this real? Can things like this really happen to me? And years went by, I moved on. I continued to have surprises that shook me, and I continued to have surprises that delighted me. And I learned that surprises, good and bad, just happen. It's life, and it's out of our control, which is exciting. But what is in our control is what we choose to focus on and which surprises we choose to shape our life. And for me, I'm always going to choose to be that bright-eyed girl, happy in Disney World. Thank you.